What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I wanted to share the top 10 quality of life features I would love to see added at some point to XDefiant in the future. Keeping in mind with this list, nothing I'm talking about here is directly related to gameplay balancing. All of this is entirely separate from how the game actually plays. And also another thing to point out, several of these features that I've got on this list, they've already been confirmed to be coming to XDefiant at some point in the future, so that's excellent news, and I'll be sure to make a mention of this anytime one of those comes up. So without further ado, let's dive into the first one, which is confirmed to be coming at some point down the road for XDefiant. This is Killcams. I feel Killcams in this game would be very helpful, even if they're not perfectly accurate. Just like with Call of Duty, those Killcams are never perfectly accurate, but they just give a great indication of generally what went on in that situation. How did that enemy kill you? What did they do? How was their aim, at least generally speaking? Again, you can't see exactly what the enemy saw in real time on their screen, but even just a basic kill cam that gave us an indication of what went on there, that's going to be a really nice addition to the game that I'm really excited to see. I hope it doesn't take them too long to work this out, but I do realize it is quite a complicated thing to be adding. Next, something I would really like to see with this game that I think could actually pretty drastically improve my experience in the game and many other solo players' experiences as well. This is party indicators in the lobby. So you can see before the match even starts who is partied up with who and what you're getting yourself into in the upcoming match. That way, if you're playing solo, for instance, you get into a lobby and you see a party of 6 where they're all playing together, well, at that point, that may give you an indicator that you want to use your best possible faction with your best possible setup, because you're likely about to have a really tough fight on your hands. Or honestly, that could also just be your cue to leave before the game even starts. And I know that might seem like a negative thing. You don't want people just backing out of lobbies when they see a full party present. But personally, I would prefer players backing out before that match starts because they don't want to play against a party of 6. Then partway through the match, because then that's when they realize they're totally outmatched and don't have a chance. And now I'm down that player that otherwise would have just left to begin with, and that spot could have got filled by somebody that was up for that challenge. And honestly, even on the other end of that, if I'm playing in a party of 6, I don't mind if it takes a little longer to get that lobby together because certain people will be backing out the moment they see my party of 6. If that means that the people that do stick around are more likely to play out the entire match because they knew what they were getting into from the beginning. This is one of those features where I don't think it would be all that difficult for them to implement this, and I think it could really go a long way into improving the experience for people that play solo, or maybe even just in pairs, for instance. This would absolutely help a ton. Now, in a similar vein, I don't really want to talk too much about adding new game modes, because that's typically talking about gameplay-related changes, and that's not what this video is about. However, I feel this one's a little bit different. I personally would love to see a Mercenary Moshpit style of mode in XDefiant. So this would be a mode where you get a random mix of objective-style game modes. However, the catch here is only solo players can matchmake in this, and that way you're guaranteed to never have to play against a party. And with that in mind, this would also allow the team balancing system to be as accurate as possible, and I think this would make for some of the best public match matchups that you could find. This is something that Call of Duty used to do a lot back in the day, and it was always my favorite place to play as a solo player, and I really miss that feeling, and I'd love to see that come back. Now, let's move on to the next thing I've got on my list here, and this is yet another one of those features that is actually confirmed to be coming at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. This is with the double XP tokens that we have. I would love to see them only work during match time. So if you're in a lobby, you don't have that double XP timer ticking down, because there's nothing more frustrating than popping one of those tokens and then suddenly not really being able to find a match. Or you get a match in progress, you get to play for 30 seconds, and then you spend your next 2 or 3 minutes searching for your next match. Now, on one hand, I get why games have started to do this, where they have this ticking down in the lobby time, because then once you activate it, you're essentially committing to playing the game for that period of time. If I pop a 1-hour double XP token, well, now I'm much less likely to drop the game for a day if I just am not feeling it after a match or two. In saying that though, the problem with this is it's obviously one of those things that isn't designed for the best player experience possible. Its only purpose is to try to maximize engagement, regardless of whether or not that's negatively impacting the player's experience with the game. And with XDefiant, with many of the things they're doing, they've made it pretty clear that they are really focusing on that player experience over everything. And I do think all the little things like this long-term really add up to improving that player experience, so we actually want to keep playing game after game, rather than feeling like this system is artificially working against us and almost forcing us to play for that period of time that we've locked in. So I'm really happy to see that they are going to be making this change. But one other really minor thing I wanted to tag on here, since we're talking about double XP tokens, currently in XDefiant, the only place you can activate that double XP token is when you're searching for a game or when you're actively in a lobby. You can't do it before you search for a game, and you can't do it once you're already in a match. And it would be nice to have that ability to activate that token at any time, even if you're already in a match. Next up, another great quality of life feature that I'd love to see added down the road would be the ability to save your custom builds. Now, I realize the loadout system in XDefiant isn't extremely complicated. It's not like Call of Duty, for instance, with their gunsmith. But I still think it would be nice to save a build with all of the combination of attachments that you'd like, and maybe even the camo pattern you want on there, just to make things run a little more streamlined so that you can always access your favorite builds without having to like screenshot them and have them saved somewhere so you can recreate them. Next up, one feature that I'll admit is more for me than it would be for the general community, but it's still something I'm really hoping we can see at some point. This would be the ability to have either custom games where you can go onto any of the maps and you can invite friends and you can create your own matches, or even just the ability to get multiple players in the same practice zone and on opposite teams. That would go a long way for me, so I can do a lot of testing. As much as I love what they've done with the practice zone, in its current state, it doesn't really allow me to test everything I would like to test because we don't have any actual character models in there to shoot at. Additionally, there's no method of getting another character to shoot you. And sometimes you might want to test something like flinch, and I'd love to be able to do that in a controlled environment rather than having to do that testing in a public match where I'm just screwing over my team because I'm doing my own thing trying to get some testing done for a video. After that, let's talk about something that probably should have showed up earlier in the list, but this is in no particular order. And this is something that's confirmed to be coming down the road as well. This is persistent lobbies. As of right now in XDefiant, once a match ends, it immediately puts you back into matchmaking and it searches for another game. And this really sucks because a lot of times when you finish a match, you want to have a rematch, especially for a game like XDefiant. I find there's many times there's a super close matchup and I would love to play against those guys again. Or sometimes you just get into a good lobby with good people that play in ways that are really enjoyable for everyone involved and you want to stick with that lobby. So again, this is something where I really hope this change comes sooner rather than later, but I'm at least happy to see that they are intending to make this change down the road. After that one, another quality of life feature that we've seen in many modern FPS games, but this isn't an XDefiant yet. This is an in-game ping feature, so the ability to ping a location or an enemy player or a piece of equipment that an enemy has on the ground, for instance, to help communicate with your teammates without having to turn on voice chat, because for many people, that's just not going to happen. They don't want to use voice chat, and there's nothing you can do to force them to use voice chat, but if they had this ability to ping things, then there could at least be some form of communication there. On top of that, again, a little bit selfishly here, having that ping feature would help a lot with certain types of testing for me in my videos as well. Now, after that one, I'd love to see some work done to the kill feed. And with this one, I feel like at some point I did see a tweet talking about this from one of the developers, but I can't seem to find that tweet, so maybe I just dreamed about it, or maybe I just can't seem to find it right now. So this one may or may not be confirmed to be coming at this stage. In the kill feed, I would love to have a headshot indicator if you get killed by a headshot, like if that final bullet that hits you is a headshot. It would be nice to know. It would help explain certain deaths where you die a little faster than you may expect. And then another feature I'd love to see up in the kill feed as well is a wall bang indicator. If that final bullet that hit you before dying penetrated some surface before killing you, that would be useful information to have as well, because as of right now, you get shot around corners a ton in XDefiant. And more often than not, it appears this is definitely a netcode issue, because it's usually around super hard cover that I know bullets can't go through. But then there are other times where I'm wondering, maybe you can shoot through that piece of cover. Maybe he did shoot me through that wall. I don't really know though, and especially without Killcams, there's no way of knowing that. So that little indicator in the kill feed, I think could be very helpful to have. Now, on a somewhat similar note of gaining some extra information when you die, on the respawn screen after you've been killed by somebody, I'd love to see a little more information stated there as well. As it is right now, it says who killed you, you can see what faction they're using, and it will tell you the weapon that they killed you with. However, that's really all you get. So a couple other things I'd love to see added are, first off, I'd love to see the weapon attachments, and this would allow you to learn from better players that are killing you all the time. You might be wondering, like, what did he just kill me with? What kind of attachments is he using on that gun? Because when I use that gun, it doesn't feel good at all, but when he's using it, he's dominating. So then you could potentially copy that loadout down in the future. And then on top of that, in that respawn screen, it would be nice to know if multiple people have dealt damage to you. So maybe just a little indicator showing who dealt damage to you in order for that death to occur. and maybe even like how many hits or how much damage each of those players dealt to you in order to kill you. That would definitely help explain situations where you get insta-melted by someone and you don't realize that a second player was also shooting you, but you just didn't see any tracers or anything. Now again, if we had kill cams, it would alleviate both of those issues to a degree, but it would still be nice to have that extra information. And with that, I think that's a good place to leave it. Those are the primary quality of life features I'd love to see in XDefiant, and I think they could really go a long way into improving the player experience. And so far, it's great to see that several things that I've got on this list that would have been on my list regardless, they've already been confirmed by the developers to be coming at some point down the road. Of course, this is just my list though, and I'd love to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Focusing on non-gameplay related items, what are some quality of life features you would like to see added to XDefiant? It could be things that I've already got on this list, or perhaps some new things that I didn't put on today's list. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.